of their gear. When they went for 8 days, they didn't bring that much stuff with them, but we do know that NASA has sent up several cargo missions with specific crew items, they're called, but I think that means things like clothing, underwear, stuff like that, all the stuff you need for that extended stay. And they're also having, now it's a longer duration mission, they're having to do things like the daily exercise regime, so you don't lose sort of bone density and muscle weakness in that weightless environment. They're taking part in the science experiments up there because, of course, this is a floating, it's an orbiting laboratory, so loads of science going on there all the time. So really, you know, they're settling in, I guess, which they have to, because, you know, their lift rider's gone home now. They've got to wait for quite a while for the next one to come by. This is a layperson's question, but who else will be up at the International Space Centre with them? At the space station, there are quite a few people up there at the moment, lots of different astronauts. People come and go all the time. I mean, what's quite interesting, actually, is 4 astronauts were supposed to be heading up in September on a SpaceX Crew Dragon, but that is now going to be 2 astronauts. So it's one from NASA and one from Russia. They're going to be heading up to the International Space Station. And the reason why 2 astronauts are staying behind on Earth is so they've got the empty seats, basically. So when their mission comes to its end in February, Butch and Sonny can take their places in the ride home. So there's lots of sort of complicated scheduling. Lots of people said, why have they got to wait so long, you know, if there are sort of spacecraft coming and going to the space station all the time. But the scheduling up there is incredibly complicated because there's a limited number of spaces for astronauts up on the space station. You've always got to make sure you've got enough spacecraft there to take the astronauts home if there was sort of a real emergency situation. So, you know, there are all of these factors that have come in trying to sort of...
New this morning, a stunning announcement from NASA.
NASA has decided that Butch and Sonny will return with Crew 9 next February.
NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams were aboard Boeing Starliner's historic launch in June, the first with a crew, but they were only supposed to be in space for a week. NASA now says they'll return from the International Space Station 8 months past schedule on a SpaceX Dragon capsule, Boeing's biggest competitor.
This has not been an easy decision, but it is absolutely the right one.
The troubled Boeing Starliner spacecraft has been plagued by helium leaks and thruster issues. NASA testing to find out whether Starliner could fly home with Butch and Sonny on board, but the risk ultimately too high.
We have had mistakes done in the past. We lost 2 space shuttles as a result of there not being a culture in which information could come forward.
Boeing released this statement saying they continue to focus first and foremost on the safety of the crew and spacecraft.
Here we are in the front of the International Space Station.
NASA insisting Butch and Sonny have plenty of supplies to get them through and confident, despite the major setback, in Starliner's future.
Senator Nelson, how certain